this platform came up to say that this is family meeting. Okay, so we should be meeting virtually, where we talk about a lot of things. We discuss everything about family. We don't limit it to one man, one woman family alone. We talk about divorce. We talk about people who are single. We talk about parenting. And we have had a lot of people reach out to us after the meeting to seek for guide, to seek for assistance, and we have been able to provide such. And so if you're here, you're navigating or you're going through difficult times in your marriage, please reach out to us. This is what we stand for. And if you think you want to give, you can also reach out to us. Children's Day is coming. We want to reach at least 300 girls with our sanitary towel. Please, if you want to contribute to this, your own quota, please reach out to us. You can chat me up or chat the admin up. Admin, please drop the phone number to the office so that anyone that wants to do that. So yeah, let's do it this morning. We are in the love season, and one of the things you can do to show love is by giving. We give here at the Family Center, and that is why we have family meeting every month, every last Saturday of the month. We discuss fantastic and amazing topics. I told you, ranging from divorce to complete family to parenting and all, to parenting in the diaspora, because we also noticed that a lot of the Japas are having issues in raising their children. And so we give that support too. Yes, this morning we are talking about love. We are talking about love. We bring amazing people here to talk about different topics, professionals trained at the Family Systems Engineering, at the Institute of Family Systems Engineering. And this morning I have Adeola. Adeola, I want to see your face. This morning I have Adeola with me to talk about love. And I have Deji show me. The two of them, I have kind of interacted with them on this topic of love. And by the time they start talking, I'm sure you will agree with me that they are able and capable to talk about this. Okay, so Adeola Kingsley James, she is the mind genius, an hypnotherapist, and she is a certified rapid transformational therapist. Simple as that. Adeola is a therapist, and she also calls herself the Kingmaker. Good morning, Adeola. Nice having you here.
Good morning. How are you doing? Thank you for having me here today.
I'm doing great. Thank you. And thank you for agreeing to do this with us. Yeah, and I have Deji show me. Deji is many things. He is an architect, interior designer, and a decorator, a real estate player, a writer, a counselor, but chooses to identify as humanist and a lawyer and a lover. He has devoted his life to recreating the heaven he knows Earth was and can be by embracing humanity. Deji believes in family as the foundation on which society is built. He tries to be a good person, husband, dad, brother, friend, and professional all the time. He may not take himself seriously, but he gives humanity and love and family seriously. He has written on this topic many times. He thrives in an atmosphere of love, freedom, and excellence. Deji is a Family Systems Engineering Associate. Good morning, Deji. Show me. Thank you. Thank you for accepting to do this. Guys, please get ready to ask your question. Remember, I always say this, our realities are different, right? So my own perspective or perception about something might be different from yours. And we come here to ask questions. So feel free to ask your questions. Before I go into it, let me see. Let me read in the chat box. Okay. Bukola said, scary, but God is in control. Absolutely, he's always in control. It's a phase of time that will soon be over. Yes, yes, yes. Not taking the situation too seriously, guiding my heaven within. Powerful, powerful. Honestly, that's the only thing we can do here right now, the present situation we have found as ourselves. While we are waiting for the situation to change, we can guard the heaven that is within us. We can protect and watch what we allow in through our filters. We can decide to sieve the information we listen to, and in doing that, we'll be able to navigate it well. Diola Quadrillionaire said, I see only the surplus around me, and that is my only experience. So all is well over here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Adiola, for that. Still saying that we should guard the heaven within us. The heaven within us is there. Everything, the good book I read says, everything I need for life and godliness has been given to us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless you. I decide not to focus on the issues, so I get solutions. Beautiful transfers and card payments for almost all payments. Beautiful, beautiful. You know, a lot of times we just want only one solution to work, but the truth of the matter is there are different ways. We have a lot of ways. We have different ways to which we can solve problems, right? So don't let us look at one way. Let's try to go inside and away from the noise and pay attention to where the inner man, our inner spirit is directing us towards. It is always there to guide us. Yeah, thank you very much. So this morning we're talking love. Adiola, Deji dropped off. I guess it's network. So Adiola, what does love means to you?
Okay. For me, love is freedom. And my sentence to explain that is, my will for you is your will for you. That's what love is to me. Love has evolved. What I thought love was is not what I think love is right now. But I've realized that the only purest feeling that is available to mankind is love. And every other thing has stemmed from there. Even fear has come from love. Resentment, jealousy, all those feelings have come out of love because we think this is what love means. I need to own. I think love is also stewardship. I'm only here to guide you if I can, but I respect you enough to know that you can guide yourself if you choose to. Love is unattachment. For me, I'm not attached to anything or anyone, as the case is. Maybe further down, I would share 10 of the things that guide me when I think of relationships. And love is not only romantic love. I mean, there's the pure, pure love that we say God has for us, for those who believe in God. And it's do do the things that you choose to, without me having to superimpose my thoughts or my wants or my desires on you. And that's how God has treated us. So I want to believe that that's what real love is. But that's for me once again.
Adiola, you said a lot of things. Love is freedom. Love is stewardship, unattachment. Love is not romantic alone, right? You said something that jealousy and all those other side of love, all those feelings that are on the other side, they span from love. How do you explain that? What do you mean?
Because we've been taught that love is ownership in some cases. And so when you own something, what do? You feel like you possess it. And then all the different things come from it. This is my own. Once it's your own, then nobody else can touch it. And then, you're afraid that somebody's going to take it away from you. So there comes fear, right? You want to keep this thing only to yourself. It's my own. And so when people always say my own, I smile, because obviously there's an attachment, right? At the end of the day, it's easy to see those things as negative. But if you understand that because we have it a little bit misunderstood what love is, those things actually stem from there. So I love you. I don't want anybody else to want to be with you because I love you. That's jealousy to some extent, but it's come from a good place, which is love. Just that it's a bit twisted now, because now we're looking at it from another place. So I personally believe that every emotion comes from love. It's just a little bit used it's just used in different ways and at different times.
That's deep. That I'll still come back to you, Adela, because I still need you to talk about, you have mentioned all this, what love means to you, but I want you to explain it further. But let me hear from Deji. Deji, what does love mean to you?
Okay. It is basically what Deola said, only that maybe I might word differently. Love for me is a state, an intentional state of being continually kind. You have to choose kindness. And kindness, in this case, love, can be put into so many aspects of life. In our life, we have over 1,000 facets. And should we choose to apply kindness to all of it, then we are showing love to people. My prime example would be, everybody likes the creation story and the idea of God being over everything. Now, for those who believe in a God, be you a Judaist, be you a Christian, or be you a Muslim, you have to think of what the Creator himself wanted. God created man and woman. Then he said, I give you free will, exist. Now, the creation was out of love in itself, but it goes a bit further. That, okay, I want to love you whatever you are. That's the point of free will. That is why till tomorrow, anybody you choose to love and you want to change them, rather than let them evolve or inspire them to evolve, it will go wrong. You love them in their free state and you approach them in their free state. Once you try to imprison them, which is make them bend to what your own interpretation of love is, or what your interpretation of right and wrong is, then there starts to be a problem. So love is just being intentionally kind all the time. Every action you want to make, you have to pause. You have to think, who does this benefit? Me? Others? This person I'm trying to love, and so on, because love is a little bit weird in that way that out of trying to show love, you can turn it upside down and make somebody else's life miserable. And the point is, we are trying to make sure that everybody has a great life experience by themselves, and if possible, because of God, which is love your neighbor as yourself. So love, as long as there's kindness and there's thought, there is love. But love is in many ways. We'll get that to that later, but that's my take on love.
Wow. Okay, so Deji, you had also, just like you said before you started, that more of the same thing Adiola said, but you're presenting them in different ways, because talking about showing love, out of showing love, you need to pause and think that who is this for? Is it for me? Or and that's where the jealousy and
That's
all
where it
that
comes
comes
in.
in. And yeah, talking about whatever and whoever the person is, just regardless, just love, show kindness to the
Show
other
kindness.
person. Yeah. And that was the same thing Adiola said about when he mentioned freedom. So love is freedom, love is stewardship.
Love it.
Yeah, love is freedom, love is
Kindness.
stewardship, love is unattachment. Deji also said that in another word. Thank you very much. So Adiola, when you say love is freedom, so on this call, we have singles, we have married, we have divorced, we have single parents, and so we are talking love to this community where we have different categories of people. So when you say love is unattachment, what do you mean?
You were struggling to play some music this morning, and I want to believe that the reason why you wanted to play those songs was to reminisce on how they have taught us what love is. So love is, I can't live without you. I can't breathe without you. Without you, my life is incomplete. My endless love. My spouse or my boyfriend or girlfriend is meant to be my television, my freezer, my house, my home, my chair, my all in all, my best friend, my soulmate. When unfortunately those people can't even be that to themselves. And so we come thinking, oh, this is what, and I fell into that category before, where I felt, this is what love looks like, especially also because maybe you have seen your parents do certain things as well. And so you think, okay, he must do this or she must do that. And when they don't, then they don't love me, right? For example, one very clear example that people always say is when I dress up, he doesn't say I look nice. He doesn't notice me, so he doesn't love me. And you start to get attached to all these things that, oh, this is what he must do in the morning, or she must do in the afternoon, or he must do at night, or he must do midday. He must send me messages during the day. He must always call me. He must show me that, and so you are attached to all these things, now expecting that someone else is going to give you all these things, and then he must make you happy, or she must make you happy, and so at the end of the day, when you start to sing, I can't live without you, I can't breathe without you, is it really true? Is it really true? It's not, because he's not the air that you breathe. It's air that you need, or food that you need, or water for you to be able to live. She or he is neither of all these things, right? And so because now I'm expecting that when I dress a particular way, my husband must say something, or when I do something, he must say something, he must be in my business, he must be in my soulmate, he must be. When he doesn't do these things, what happens? I start to feel unloved, in quotes. Excuse me. Question is, can I do these things for myself? That's the first question. Because the more, in fact, the first rule that I live by, or the first thing that I live by, is nobody owes me anything. Nobody. Doesn't matter who it is. And my second rule is I don't owe anybody anything either, right? And because I know that nobody owes me anything that people do for me, I'm so grateful for it. So grateful for it. Because at the end of the day, I don't know where these people are coming from. Some people are willing and not able. Some people are able and not willing. Some people are neither of the two. They are neither willing nor able. What do I then do in that case where I'm attached to the fact that they must do X, Y, Z for me to feel like now I am loved? What if you're with somebody who is not willing? Would you then say because he's not willing to do X, Y, Z the way I want it, then now he doesn't love me? And then we go further than that and we look at the love languages. And sometimes I smile when I hear the love languages and I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe these things somewhat exist. But am I then saying, I go beyond it and say, am I then saying, if he doesn't do any of these things for me, does it then also mean that he doesn't love me? No, because he may love me in a different way. Some people, none of those things even is their love language. Some people, it's only freedom. Just leave me, let me be free. And then with my freedom will come responsibility. You don't need to tell me kind words. I can tell myself kind words. So we attach ourselves to some of these things and make it our norm. And we then say, now, if we attached ourselves to it and still gave ourselves these things and still we're happy without them, it's a different case. But you attach to these things and you say, without these things, I choose not to be happy because it's a choice. What then happens to you is my question. So for me, love is not, there's no attachment to love. My will for you is your will for you. So when they just said, love your neighbor as yourself, I go further and say, I want to love you the way you want to be loved. Because if I love my neighbor as myself, if I like to eat eba in the morning, I'll give my neighbor eba. But my neighbor doesn't like eba. I've loved her or him the way I want to be loved, but they don't want eba. They want vegetable. So I want to ask them, what would you like? Vegetables? Okay, I'm going to give you vegetables then, whilst I eat my eba and we're both happy. That's what I mean.
Oh, wow. Hey, guys, are you listening? Are you hearing? Let me see the comments. Thank you, Diola, for making a lot of sense. TJ said, love is a responsibility, not a must, but affirmations, compliments. How can we detach at 40 plus? Programming. Deji, so I come to you. Yeah, thank you, Diola. You have really hit a lot of things on the head. And you got it right when you said something about the music I was going to play. You know, I was listening to the music and I was just smiling and shaking my head because these were the things we conditioned ourselves with. You know, these were the things that formed our definition of love growing up. And so we grow up, you know, my endless love, there is only you in my life. And so you find yourself in a romantic relationship and you just believe that person should not even talk to any other person again. It's just me. There is only you. How sustainable is that? And this is where this is where a lot of problems are coming into marriages, where your expectations are just so high. Adiola said something about expectations, where that our expectations are so unrealistic. The person you are looking forward to, the person you are expecting to love you in a particular, cannot even give himself or herself that kind of love. And so we stress and we just kill ourselves with all these expectations. And that's part of the reasons, you know, when Valentine was drawing closer, we saw a lot of things on social media, you know, and I'm sure that a lot of girls that day that would have taken soda detergent to say that, oh, he didn't love, I saw, I don't know if that was just a comedy clip or something where a guy blocks the girlfriend because he wants to post another lady's picture on WhatsApp status, you know, and that girl discovered, and that girl was raining curses on the boyfriend, you know. A lot of things happened, and that was why we said, okay, let's talk about this thing called love. Because when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. We don't really even know the meaning of that word. I love you, I love you, I love you. I think it was Adiola and I that was chatting that day, and was like, Valentine should be an everyday thing. Doesn't have to be just for February 14th alone. So what happened after every other day? After February 14th, does it mean that we should not show ourselves kindness? How are we supposed to live our life, you know? And this is one of the reasons why we're talking, so that we will go back and check our expectations of our spouses, the expectations we have for our spouses. How is that affecting our relationship? How are we hurting ourselves? And Adiola has told us now that love is unattachment. Deji, you talked about the love of God. I don't know, how are you going to talk about the love of God? How are we going to explain it in this unattachment thing? I don't know if that question is coming shocking, but how do you explain the love of God with this unattachment thing? Do you understand my question?
I'll answer your question. Unfortunately, to answer your question, I'm going to have to ask everybody a question. I'll probably want them to write it down in the chat box under a minute. What do you think you ever needed the most first in your life? What is the very first thing you thought you needed in your life? The very first thing. Or what should you need first in your life? And everybody just write that to the chat box under a minute before I go on. It helps me make my point for this your question exactly.
Yeah, guys, we want to read in the chat box. Deji is asking a question. Okay, somebody said love, life. Freedom to be me. Who else? Air.
Okay,
There must be willingness.
This is a wonderful crowd, because the last time I asked this kind of question, last time I asked this kind of question, it was money that I got most of the time. It was money, it was money, it was money. And then I asked them to explain it. And they said, to be able to stay alive, to be able to meet my needs, to be able to have a good life, to be able to, there were so many answers. Now, and I'll ask again that what you need really, why I'm asking that question is that if you think it's money, were you able to earn your own money between the ages 1 to 10, for example? What you need first in your life is love. It's the same thing as freedom. It's the same thing as air. It's love. It's support system. What you need first, because you cannot give it to yourself, is someone to try to show you love. And that person to reaffirm to you that you also are loved. By connecting with that first person ever, or those first people ever, if you're lucky to have parents who just love you off the jump, then you start to realize one thing: self. Self comes up. Then it comes to, did that help you to realize, do you love yourself? Which carries also, are you happy? Now, when you are able to realize that you love yourself, then you place a value on yourself. Because it is only when you know yourself and love yourself before you can say, this is how to love me. If you don't know how to love yourself, it will be difficult for anybody else to be able to love you. But as a kid, love was the first thing you needed, a support system. And that goes through your lifetime with you before money even gets to be a thing. Now you look at it, it's just like telling the child to sweep the floor. You now say the child was pausing, or the child chose to use the vacuum cleaner rather than use a broom, or the child was sitting down while sweeping. What do you need? You need the floor to be clean. You don't need to micromanage the way that that child is sweeping, as long as the floor is clean. You need to be able to be kind enough to let that child do it by themselves the way they know how to, and not make them feel bad about what you ask them to do, that they are doing for you actually, and they are not even completed the task before you say you are doing it wrong. That is how God is into our lives. God made us. But the next thing God gave us was free will. If God that made us gives free will, how do you own the person? Because they are romantically involved with you. How do you own them? When God has said, go ahead, whatever you do, as long as you recognize me, I recognize that I want you to love other people, we will be fine. That is the only thing it says. As long as you recognize me, I recognize other people, we will be fine. And that's all he says to you. No matter what you do, everybody knows who David is. No matter what you do, I'm there for you. If that is God, and we are trying to please our God, isn't that what we should be doing with every member of humanity themselves? Like Jola said, you want the floor to be clean. You do not need to micromanage that floor being clean. The very opposite of love, like Ayoda Silva just said just now, is control. Once you start to control, you cannot love. It is not possible. Which is what brings us to dual views. If we could open up our mind and see that the outcomes are not only two, they are not limited to two, of course, then life can be better, because if you have only two limited outcomes to life, if it is not dark, it is white, and if it is not white, it is black, there comes a problem, because everything that does not seem okay by your own judgment, it's wrong. And that is not accepting somebody else there. For example, the love languages were mentioned, and I believe knowledge is important. It's good to learn them, to know them, but they are not limited to those. Those are only classifications. But if, for example, you say that your child does not know how to love, all he does is to love food and eat and eat and eat, then one day you're passing by and the child just says, come, have some food. That is what that child loves the most. And it tells you to have some. And you did not recognize it. You just went by that, oh, I'm broke. I can't collect money from the ATM or from the PS. Is food the next thing on my agenda? No, you just threw love back in that child's face because you did not pause to think of what that action was. That child just gave you love. You did not recognize it. It happens a lot in life. A lot of things that we have done for people and they did not see it. They were not grateful. They didn't even understand it. That's the one we remember. The ones that others did for us that we didn't recognize, we don't remember those. All we just like to do is just to blame. So I ask that question all the time. What do you need? You need love, you need support, and it's been given to you. God loves you. You should give love to God and receive love from God. Your parents love you. Maintain that relationship. Give love to the parents and receive love from your parents, appreciating them. It's the same thing for your siblings. It's the same thing for your colleagues at work. It's the same thing for those you play with. It's the same thing with your best friend. It's the same thing with your other friends. All those are kinds of love. It's the same thing with that person in your life who seems to always be there, having a shoulder to go, and it's not even romantic. That's like 6 various kinds of love. Then we have the romantic one to add to it. All those kinds of love are like cake, while the romantic love can be the icing to the cake. And the romantic love can't even take you far. It's the enduring love that takes you far, because you have to mix all of those together. That's why I always say that statement, you are my endless love, you are my world, you are my universe. It is an inaccurate statement. Because if you put everything into one person, what they cannot give, somebody you just met 2 years ago cannot love you like God, cannot love you like a parent, cannot love you like a sibling because they spent lots of time with you, cannot love you like a friend, probably would not love you like a colleague loves you. It's all different kinds of love. You put all those on that person becomes your world. Then they start to misbehave, or they're out of sync with you, or out of alignment with you. What happens to your world? Your world crashes. That's why people were saying on Valentine's Day they were lonely, they were alone, they were going to commit. I said, this is being ungrateful if you look at it deeply, because they could not recognize love from God, their parents, their friends, their colleagues. How does somebody who came into your life a year ago become the single most important thing in your life when you've lived without them for loads of years and you still will? It's a lot of things, but I'm going to just pause there for now. We'll continue after.
Thank you so much, Deji. You have been able to balance and explain it. And I will say that I agree with that analogy, because saying that God he has given us the free will, and that is where we have our mind. I'm reading the chat. I can see the chat is buzzing and different opinions, different ideas, and I think I want us to talk about some of those things that has been dropped in the chat. Arit said there's a lot of unlearning we need to do. Yes, on scripting, that there is a lot of it. See, I have come to that point of understanding that some people created those words. Some people came up with those words, right? And you just speak it and you're running with it. Did you really think about those words? Did you really go and try to align them with what you have in your mind? TJ is saying that, okay, sorry, just give me a moment. In a relationship, no. I think I lost that, saying that in a relationship there must be expression of love, there must be willingness. Okay, that's not TJ, that's in Phoenix Note 10. There must be willingness to be committed to the well-being of the others and all. And I think this is where Adiola and Deji was trying to talk about freedom, to say that. I think that the totality of what these people are saying is love yourself. By the time you love yourself, your partner loves himself. Nobody would tell you to be committed to a relationship, because you know what you want, you know who you are, and you are able to express it without being manipulated. Because a lot of time talking about this commitment, you are manipulating the situation, manipulating things to be in your favor.
I think that one of the things that they're sold to us, we don't love ourselves, we trade each other. If you do this for me, I will do this for you. And so that's a trade by barter. That's not love. Anything that, we can talk about unconditional love and all the things that come around it. Anything that separates is not love. Anything that binds is love, right? So if you see me and you as you, and you are on your own, I'm on my own, that's not love, because love doesn't separate. We are one, right? And if I know I saw something in the chat and they said, what if somebody keeps hurting you or something funny like that? Do you walk away? I think when this free will is constantly leading to damage, do you love till you become a mental case, or love yourself and walk away? And I think I want to jump on that. One of the things that I live by is that
Go ahead, Adiola.
I'm going to put it in a love. For me, love is forgiving. That's FOR-giving, and not forgetting, right? Now, if I deposit, and this is my analogy around it, if everywhere I go, I deposit love, at least every time I go back there, I'll find the love that I dropped there. And in most cases, love wins. So if it's damaging, it's not the other person that is damaging you. It's you damaging yourself. And you have chosen to be damaged. And I'll tell you why I said that. Like I started off by saying that initially, I used to expect so many things from my husband as well. I thought there was a particular way all husbands must behave to prove to me at least that you love me. And when I realized that the things that I was asking him for, he didn't even give it to himself. You cannot give what you do not have. Now, one of the things that I've also realized is that you meet somebody, you don't know this person much. And there are 4 levels. I'll just maybe break it down to 4 levels. There's the first level is zero trust. The second level should be transactional trust. The third level should be reciprocal trust. And then the last level may be unconditional love or trust, however you want to put it. People meet people and give them unconditional love. You don't know them. What are their patterns? Who are they? Are they people of value? Do they have integrity? You don't know. You just say, this person, I've given him my all or her my all. And I go through those 4 levels without starting with zero trust. I don't know you. How can I trust you? To start with. So we move to the next level of transactional. Okay, so you say you're going to come, you come. I say I'm going to do something, you do it. You start to live up to the things that you say that you will do. And this is just, on a general level. And then we get to the point where we both now are doing certain things for each other, and you can expand that. And this doesn't have to only be in a romantic relationship. In any friendship, somebody says, you're my best friend. How are you my best friend? We've only spent 2 days together. You then trust the person with your entire life and give them all your life history.
Even if you have spent 10 years together as friends.
No, let's not even go as far. I'm just saying, even with that, even with 10 years, Ebun, there are people that you don't see. And you see them 10 years after, right? And if you imagine that this person is the same person. You don't know them now. This is 10 years after. And we also forget that people change. That's the one big thing that I've seen that people forget. We change. So who I am today, life experiences will change me. And then I become something else tomorrow. You don't check if I'm still the same person you thought you knew. You just say, oh, let's start off from where we ended off. And then I trust you with my heart. And then this person, life has battered this person in different ways. And they feel like now that I'm hurt, the only way I can feel good about myself is by hurting you. Which is a space that some people are in. And same thing with relationships. So people start off on a place where they shouldn't even be at to start with. And so when they hurt you, it feels like you're falling back 4 steps or four buildings backwards. Because now, how could this person do this to me? After all I've done for you. The question is, did they also ask you to do those things? Most times, no. So if you love yourself, and we're going to go back there, I'm a firm believer, and Ebo knows, of creating your village around you. I don't personally believe that I need anybody or anything to exist aside air, water, and food. So every other thing that I get is great. And I also don't believe that anybody needs me to exist as well, because that's also a sense of entitlement and making yourself feel special, that people need you. And then you now start to teach each other that dependency, and then you have the obsession. I don't believe those things anymore. I used to live in that space. I don't anymore. So whatever I now do for you, I do it from my heart. Whatever you do for me, I receive it, and I'm grateful for it. But that I sit down and say, no, Ebu is my friend, she owes me. Ebu owes me nothing. And same thing, my husband, to a large extent, I say, in fact, I'm sure sometimes he sees me and he's like, what's going on with this child? Because at the end of the day, why do I want provision from one person when I can have provision from the universe? But that's a conversation, a different conversation in a different space. Okay? So if you show yourself, or you have your village of people doing the things that you think you need, because what you do is you think you need it. You don't, on the baseline of it, you don't. But because you think you need it, it becomes your reality. Oh, I need this person to smile at me. I need this person to pat me on the back. When it doesn't come, what happens? Well, can you pat yourself on the back and tell yourself you're doing a great job? Yes, you can. Or can you guide people as to what you want to hear. And I'll give you an example. Oh, how do I look? How do I look? The person says, I don't like the way you look. Was that what you really wanted to hear at that point? No. You wanted to hear something maybe with regards, let's say my hair, for example. So can I guide you in answering me? So that you can tell me what I really wanted to hear at that time. Tell me 2 things you like about my hair. And so the person is forced to look at the 2 things that they like about your hair. And then you could say, if you want to hear something else, then you could say, is there anything I need to improve on with my hair? And then they can say, oh yeah, maybe it should be, instead of it being pink, it should be red or black or whatever. For me, that has guided people. But that expectation of saying that he must like it, who said so? He must not. Are you also open to him saying, I don't like what you're wearing? And still like yourself enough to say, but I do? And thank you very much for your opinion, but I'm still going to wear this thing and go out the way it is because I like it. So damaging is relative, because if you love yourself, you will not stay in a space where other people will do things to damage you, in quotes. I'll put it there.
Thank you very much, Adiola. I just wish, at times when we want to start this meeting, I usually say that whatever you have in your mind, can you just put it aside and listen? Then later you pick it up, try to balance it. Because the truth of the matter is these guys are saying something very profound, and I want us to listen to it. We have not been exposed to this kind of teaching, and that's why it seems as if it's feeling somehow in our body. Feeling is not logical, and we need to know that all those things we are talking about, I think it was TJ said something about TJ said something before the nobody owes me thing. I just want us to pay attention, and the main thing, the basic thing the 2 of them are talking about is the fact that you need to love yourself. You can't give what you don't have. And because a lot of us are coming from a place of hurt, our expectations are so much, and we believe the other person is supposed to give some things to us. And so if they are not ready to give it, or they are not giving it, then there is war. This commitment we are talking about, how committed are you to that person, to the other person? And you're expecting commitment, somebody, I was talking to a client this last week, and she was like, my husband is a liar. He lies. He has been lying. She was just going and going and going. She's an intimidating woman, so you can understand. And you see, when she was saying all that, I just asked her, I said, okay, how many years in marriage? She said, they are going to be 11 years. I said, okay, have you ever lied in this relationship? Have there been any situation or circumstance that made you lie or just say something that's not really true? And she was like, I've never lied in our marriage. I said, that cannot be true, madam. That cannot be true. And this is what we are saying, that what you want from the other person, are you that thing? And that is why Adiola said, you can't give what you don't have. So why are you demanding it from that person? The basic I am trying to say is that if you don't love yourself, all this fight, all this demand, all these expectations will be big deal to you. But if you love yourself and you're just there, if it comes with hurt, you are there because really, okay, you just go into that time is not available to give you what you want. And you take the solace in yourself, there won't be any trouble. Talking about, yes, I think TJ said something about change. When Adiola said people change, we evolve, we all grow, we are all changing. And that is where the problem is in relationship. That's part of the reasons why we have all these issues in relationship. You just believe that the way you were doing the lovey-dovey before you got married and you did honeymoon, you expected it to continue that way. That person, that guy, that lady interacts and moves with other people, is seeing different things. The experience is different. is learning different things, you are also moving, or you just stay in one position. And that's where the problem starts from. So are you also growing? And that's where they talk about communication in relationship, when you talk about all those things. Somebody was asking Adiola, so how does your spouse express love to you when you said you owe nobody anything and all? So Deji, you can see, I'm sure you're reading everything we have in the chat, but so much, a lot of controversies going up there, you know. And just like some people will see this as, oh, your opinion, I want you to know that that knowledge you're running with was actually somebody's opinion passed down to you. And so you want to go inward and also think about it. That's so me, this is, because that's the level I got to. And that was when I started understanding love from this perspective. I got to that point that, see, all these things, all these people, hey, you watch this, you read this book and all, they are all some people's opinion that they put together. Everything you need for life and godliness has been given to you. It's inside you. Can you go inward and ask yourself, what does love really mean to me? I think it was Mosmula that said something about, she thought she was weird because all the love languages that somebody listed that we are following, quality time, word of affirmation, and all that, she cannot even see her own there. So she felt she was, my darling Mosumola, it just shows that you're authentic, you're in tune with your real self. And that is why you are not seeing what your love language is in the, because those things were some people's opinion put together in a book or in a documentary that is being taught on platform. Can you go inward? And that is what this conversation is saying, that go inward and ask yourself, what does love really mean to you, away from what was being taught? When I interact with parents, I tell them, these children we are raising, we call them Gen Z, we call them Gen A, or what's that thing we call them? They have their own mind. They are exposed to a lot of things. They see world differently. And that is why some of those things you're telling them, they don't accept. Currently, we have a lot of people going through spiritual PTSD. I don't know if you understand that. Post-traumatic syndrome. Because some people are beginning to see that this Bible interpretation that our pastors were, that's not it. People are beginning to understand scripture by themselves, away from what the pastor or those pastors interpreted to us. The same thing, this word love. Can you interpret or define love in your own way? And life will be easier for you. That's what we're saying. So Deji, how can we, you can see the controversy going on. How can we prepare the society to see? Because if you say this is a new move, this is a new drive, I'm telling you that is it. Not until we get it and understand it. We will still be living in what our parents passed on, what Lionel Richie and Kenny Rogers and Celine Dion passed down to us. Yeah, my love forever and ever. The only...
Sorry, please, before Deji says something, I think that, people are probably getting us somewhat wrong.
Yeah.
So let me extend something and say this. You teach people how to treat you.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you show people that you love yourself, they will reciprocate it. If you show people that you don't, same thing would happen. So someone says, oh, compliment is cool. Yeah, compliment is good. But if you give it to yourself and other people see that you give it to yourself, it becomes easy for them to give it to you as well. And you're not depending on their giving it to you for your happiness. And that's what we're trying to say. That at the end of the day, it's not that you are expecting that if this thing doesn't come like this from this person, almost at this time when you want it, then your happiness is, I'm going to create a new word, shukund. Right? It's a new word I just created. And thank you for accepting it, right? Now, if you are able to give some of those things to yourself, you will find out that people, when they now give it to you, it feels cool. But because you have given it to yourself so much, your dependency on them is less and less, and not shouldn't. So it's not to say your spouse shouldn't love you, your spouse shouldn't care for you, your spouse shouldn't do X, Y, Z for you. But the more it's like scarcity. Anything that is scarce makes you feel like you don't have it. And it makes you panic. And you go into fear mode. But if you have enough of it, anything that then is added to it is acceptable. It becomes nice. Because even you are used to, there are people that I tell them you look beautiful. They'll tell you, really, is it me? It's not me, or maybe it's the powder, or because they don't even know how to accept praises. So even when their spouse gives it to them, they say, he just wants something. That's why he's telling me I'm beautiful. Or she wants money. That's why she's telling me I'm handsome. But if you have given it to yourself so much that you're full on it, when you hear it, you appreciate it so much. That's all I'm trying to say. Deji, over to you, sir.
All right, cool. Okay, you said some of what I was going to say, so I'm not going to go back to that end. Okay, before I answer some questions on what Madam Evan said, I'm going to just put us in a particular state of mind. I found across time that knowledge, especially if it's interpreted in a particular way, different from our conditioning, what we've been used to, what we've been doing for a very long time, the reflex reaction is normally to reject it. Now, it's not because of anything. It's not because we cannot think. It's just because we're not used to it and we're going to reject it. That's how we've lived our lives for many years. But what I'm going to tell you is knowledge is perpetual. Knowledge is never going to end. And I'll tell you why. You should consider everything you hear. At least consider it. You can now decide to take what you need out of it, or what does not make sense to you, you leave out, but you must at least try and listen to every perspective. I'm saying this because we are over 7 billion people on Earth. And that means about 7 billion perspectives at least. Now, if you look at it from that angle, I'm not important. Neither are you. Because you look at it, 1 over 7 billion is very insignificant. But the beauty of being a human being is that everybody's perspective is important to them. And if you want to be able to treat other people better, then if you don't buy their perspective, you still need to respect it. And if possible, listen to it. It might have. Okay, I'll give an example. The Wright brothers are credited for making the first airplane, the first machine that flew. But the truth of the matter is that the first thesis and research was published by Michelangelo 500 years before them. Because he published it, other people did the same thing and published their findings. But in those 500 years till the Wright brothers, people failed. Now, what the Wright brothers did was, all those things they did that they failed was what they started to work on to be eliminating what the issues might be. Now bring it down to technology of the time. Because another truth was that the things that were available at their time, 500 years later, was not available then. So they seem like mad people 500 years ago to say, we can fly this machine in the air. It was just because the technology to do that, we hadn't gotten there yet. That's how we should be now. Everything we listen to, everything we hear, we should actually take a pause. For example, this thing about religion and separation. Anything that separates to me is not a good tool. Anything that brings us together is a great tool. And It all depends on our perception. If we look back, we will see that Abraham, you can call him the first Israelite but he wasn't an Israelite at the time. But he gave birth to Judaism, which is a particular mode of worship today. Then Christ came, then there was Christianity. Then Muhammad came, and there was Islam. But there are direct traces to this single man about the patriarch of every religion. Moses can be traced directly to Abraham. Jesus can be traced directly to Abraham. So can Muhammad. It is just God in different languages and different cultures. Now,
Did
if
you
someone
mean
was
Muslimity? It's following your
Muslim,
lineup. I'm
I
just
love it.
joking.
Thank you, Diola. So now, is it good for me to look at somebody who has been practicing Islam for 40 years, meet them under 5 minutes, and just say, oh, your religion is that of killers. If you don't believe in God, they just kill them. Do you think without adequate knowledge, I should be able to do that for 5 minutes? The person is angry with me. I just made a very, very bad representation of Christianity, which is my own religion, because I couldn't tolerate, accept, or listen to another person in just 5 minutes. To which I'll ask the question, if you were born in Saudi Arabia, what religion would you be practicing today? It's obviously Islam. It's not about a question of who you are at all. It's about the luck of the draw, where you were born. You had no choice. If you were born in India, you'd probably be worshiping a cow or a snake, depending on what tribe you belong to. So knowledge is there, it's open, and it is not for the sake of but for the sake of and. If we can all remove but from our lives and put and, it will be beautiful, because that means that we are ready and willing to accept somebody else's input. That is why knowledge is important. That's why this is important, because we are here today to bring each other's views to the table and see what we can take. Like Reverend T.D. Jakes said, God will not give you a table because he gave you a brain. The solution is in you already. And that is not the end of it. The solution can be in another person. That is the point of all this. The solution can be with another human being, which is why you have to get along with another human being. I saw in the questions about if there is freedom or if there's free will, if love is air, then that means that the person can misbehave and do this and do that. That is the point of that particular kind of a commandment or a condition, which is love another person like you love yourself. And as Donna has added, like they also want to be loved. If you say you love somebody, you would not be able to cheat on them because you love them. That freedom carries its own responsibility. If you love them, you will not beat them. If you love them, you will not abuse them. If you love them, you will not steal from them. If you love them, you will not commit slander against their personality. Don't worry about it. Anybody who is not able to do that to you just does not deserve you. And since you know your value, in fact, it will be easy to chase that kind of a person away from you. So don't worry about it that freedom, when people misbehave. No. The thing is, for any relationship to thrive, there has to be consistent communication and conversations. Because there is no mind reader. There is no God among us. We are all small gods, not the capital God. We can't see each other's minds. So I don't know what you want. Neither do you know what I want until I tell you. Now, it is my duty to tell you. Where there is love, that word you call pettiness is actually acceptable. It is valid because it is what you want and it is what might probably tick you off. Why not tell me? Why do you feel I'll feel you are an ineffeminate man if you tell me I don't like this done that way? It does not make much sense to me. You have to tell me. In the Institute, we have a tool called user manual. We have that tool because we found out that when we told people to talk about themselves, they couldn't. They didn't even know themselves to talk about themselves. So if you want somebody to carry you in a particular way without you telling them what you want and what you don't want, how do they even carry you that way? We talk about love, love, love. I said love is an intentional act of kindness, continual. That means that when you wake up tomorrow, love starts at zero again. You express it and you discuss it. Reviews in love, they are very, very important to get feedback. Because if you don't get feedback, how do you do better for anyone? Every single day, there should be 10 to 15 minutes between two people that say they love each other, parents, lovers, colleagues, and so on. Oh, how did your day go? What can we do to better? I'm better tomorrow. What did I do that pleased you today? What didn't? Those kind of conversations put you perpetually in a love state of mind. They are very, very important. People don't want to work at it. They just want to point at another relationship and have theirs be like that. But love requires a lot of work, a lot of conversations. They are very, very, very important. It's the same thing too with commitment. We have to sit down and talk about what our parameters are. And we have to review them from time to time because they do change. They change from time to time. For me, rather than have all those rules and stuff, I base mine. My interpretation is 4 quadrants. It is acceptance, it is understanding, it is respect, and it is love, if possible, unconditionally. And I'll get to that. Acceptance, it means just accepting people the way they are. That helps you out with judgment. That helps you remove condemnation. You want to bring somebody to the God you're serving, or you want somebody to do things the way you do them. You have to draw them in and let them see the reason why they should do it the way you are doing it. By judging them or condemning them, oh, you did that wrong. That is not the way. You are dusting your glass and it's not being done well. Take a newspaper or a tissue, ruffle it a bit, and do a little bit of it. Then call that person's attention to see you do it. Then say, oh, this is the best way for glass to be clean. The way you are spoken, they will do that continuously and also disciple another person because of the way you've spoken. There is a problem going on, I think it's in Kenya, about a woman that got a period on the way to, I think their congress meeting. Yeah. And they made that woman go through hell. In fact, it was another woman that led the charge against that woman. Nobody showed compassion. It was a natural body function. It's like waste. It's like pee. Or when somebody farts. We all do it. But why do we feel the need to castigate or stigmatize others? It is because we don't accept others. Acceptance is key. That leads to understanding people. You are going to work and you are the last one to leave. Your spouse already left. Then you found the towel on the bed. But you're going to leave it there. Let the room probably stink a little bit to make your point. In fact, you're probably going to make a phone call to them or probably get home, and that's the first thing you say once you get to the door. You didn't even try to understand what could have happened. You have to put yourself in the space of understanding. Oh, he or she was in a hurry. Oh, they forget or they forgot. Oh, they were absent-minded. Oh, that's how they do their thing. But I mean, it could be one of the things I do for them to teach them understanding. Once that happens, that becomes a source of inspiration for that other person to do better. The next one is respect. Like I explained with religion earlier, you don't know what they are doing there, but you have to respect it, because that is how some people have grown since they were born. You can't criticize it. That is nation building for over 30, 40, 20 years. Under 5 minutes, you cannot decide what it is because you don't even know yet what it is. What if a solution for your life was inside that person? Because God intends for us to be social beings. Then love, the unconditional one. I heard someone says, is there unconditional love? That love is only conditional. Even with God, is conditional. If you don't do this, you will not get this. Let me tell you one thing. If you plant a seed, it grows. If you take care in planting that seed, it grows well. The sun, the solar system was created by God. So is rain. So is the air. The conditions for that plant to grow. You don't need to pray to God for it to grow. That is unconditional love. You don't need to pray it to grow. It's the same thing for hard work. Now, they would say, oh, but hell is a special story for me, which I don't like to dwell on, because I don't believe that my God and the concept of hell is ready to unleash that on anybody. Probably the angels before that offended, but not you, a human being that he created, that he loved before you were born. I'll use an example. For those who are familiar with the Bible, I'll use Jacob, who was the younger child in a set of twins. And God said before he was born, he will be greater. I have chosen him. I love him. That is unconditional love. It's only sad that at times the blowback for somebody else, for them to be an example, might be harsh, but it is what it is. Now, I also use David as an example. I'm not sure any human being till they die will probably offend as much as David offended. But this man was probably the human being that God loves the most, even more than Abraham, our father. Now, it wasn't as if he did not bear the consequences of his misdemeanors, but unconditional love was always his from God. Because immediately he said, I was sorry, God forgave. If he did not forgive, a man that went ahead to plan for somebody else's husband to die, just be with a woman, will not be the one that gives back to a King Solomon. That means that there will be punishment because that child died, but at the same time, unconditional love is always there. If we are able to give unconditional love, the world will not be in the state that it is today, because by now, we will have eliminated hate. If I let my child know that when they don't score the highest marks of the class, when they mess up a project, when they're not athletic enough, it does not matter. I still love them. But the fact that you don't pass with 100 over 100 is the reason why you are 8th in your class. But the child knows that I'm still going back to a parent that will hold me and love me and do all the activities they always do with them. That is fine for that child. That child will be secure. That child will not envy or be jealous. Okay, might envy the person at first position, but will not be jealous of them because they are secure that in their home, they are still loved and they can still achieve great things. All we need to do is to find what you are great at and let's see how they achieve them. There's always the story, they say there's no unconditional love, but I know of parents whose love is unconditional all the time. Those are the parents that we all insult. That look, their child is a junkie, their child is a this, their child is a that. Yes, their child is a junkie. Should they throw away the child because of that? We don't know their inner struggles because they may have continued to go to therapy, find ways for the child to be better, but have not found a solution. But you didn't go with a solution. All you did was talk about them, snide remarks, put them down, talk about it briefly, and move on, ready to ruin somebody else's life with our mouths. But that is not what it is. That is not love at all. There is unconditional love, and we can train ourselves to give it. It is a love that just has no entitlement. Love at times can be being very broke and not calling that friend to give you some money because you don't want to put them in a position to say, oh, I don't have much myself. I only have a little to survive. Because if you accepted, understood, and respect them, you will know that they probably have their struggles. Just because they won a lottery of 1 million naira does not mean that they do not have headaches of over 3 million naira on the ground before. We didn't accept, we didn't understand, we didn't respect, and obviously we don't love them. Because love bears no entitlements. Love is free. The free is there for everybody to do. So what I want to tell you instead is that be a good person. That is the root of being a good lover and a good whatever, being a good father, a good mother, a good husband, a good role, or whatever you want to play in your life. Start with being a good person. Accept other people the way they are. Try to understand them. Try to respect them. And try to love them, if possible, unconditionally.
Whoa.
And that's my message for the society. Because if we're able to do that, people see that we are different. Then we can also disciple others. Hey, Mommy Love, what did you say right there? I didn't see that. Because I want to make sure that I understand what you're saying. I don't want to misunderstand anybody.
Okay, before Mommy Love, you can drop the comments they're just asking for in the chat box.
She said it's relative. Okay, I understand that. She said it's relative, which is true. But the thing is that why can't we go for the real thing? Why can't we? We want to please God because we love God. We want to please our spouses. We want to please all those who we love. Then let's do things that will please them. They would see it, they will be inspired, and they would evolve. It can take time, but I know everybody's always asking, why should I be the bigger person? Why should I be the one to first try? Why should I? I know. But shouldn't we even try? And we must have those conversations. I don't feel good when you're on your phone and I'm sitting there, I'm trying to look. Don't say your spouse did not drop their phone. That's why you also picked up their phone. Then the two of you are blaming each other for not dropping your phones all through. Rather, send a message to that phone they're holding. I'd like to spend some uninterrupted time with you. Or go and sit down beside them and hold their hand and ask them a direct question that makes them put their phone down, knowing that you need attention. They are not mind readers. That is one of the biggest viruses of relationships, not just romantic ones. Assumption and judgment. We do them hand in hand in 3 to 5 seconds, but we cannot wait and think. It's kind of unfair. Just state what you want. You are not being petty. If I don't know what you want, how can I give it? We are all different. I'll put a pin in that for now.
Thank you, Deji. That was a very long lecture and well taken. Well taken. No. It's deep. And you had actually balanced this conversation to say that, like I had been saying since the beginning of this conversation, pause, take a step back. That belief you have about this topic, who sold it to you? How did you get it? Do you want to think about it in another direction to say, this is me, I have the brain? You know, a lot of us, we just put the brain in some people's hand and they're the ones that are just writing for us and we're just picking it. We're in autopilot. We don't think before we react or respond. You know, we just live our life. When they say, oh, you look beautiful, thank you, and you feel that's the best answer. What about, oh, yeah, I know, thank you. You know, we don't even know how to receive love. We don't even know how to receive, because we have been told that we are not good enough and we are living our life in that direction. And we're saying that you're good enough, You're amazing. You're fantastic. Tap into your power. You have that power. Why are you depending on another person? And that does not mean the other person will not give you. It does not mean you will not give the other person. Did you just explain acceptance, understanding, respect, and love? Did you just explain it in a good way? Could it just be that that's part of the reasons why we're having problems with our children? Because we believe we know and we want them to do it in a particular way. We want them to be something. We want them to do, because we think we know.
And we
Can
own
we
them.
love children the way they want to be loved? Can you talk to your children the way they want to be talked? They want to be addressed. Yeah, you gave birth to them. She's just 6 years old. You think you can talk to her anyhow. You think you can just raise your hand anyhow. Yeah, she's 13. They said teenager, so she's not a teenager, she's misbehaving. Must it always be other people's idea of all this? Can you pause and look at your child? She's a teenager. What's different about her? Do you understand? So can we stop living in autopilot? And that's the base. That's what my own point is. Can we stop living in autopilot? Can we pause and redefine? Oh, you go on social media, somebody come online and talk about their spouse, and you are looking at your spouse from that eye. You start looking out for those things because you allow it into your filter. So you unconsciously do it. And so you'll be all out to say that you must be committed. Are you committed? Do we really understand what love is? And that's why we're talking about. I love the dimension this conversation has gone today. And when Deji was talking, the chat just the buzzing, the buzzing in the chat just stopped. She was able to balance everything for us, with practical examples, right? And I really appreciate you. Thank you, Deji. Thank you, Adiola. Deji also talked about communication. The other person is on your head. Don't just assume. We assume a lot. And talking about this assumption, I want to ask this question. Adiola, I want you to talk about this. So a friend of mine did a post online recently, and it got me thinking to say that some of us, people like me, all we have to offer is love, but people read meaning to it. And that is where people start saying, oh, you want to snatch my husband. The man can just be a creative convertible that want to play with everybody. So I want you to talk about love and of course, if you have love for yourself, you won't be seeing another person as so somebody is showing concern, love, and you're reading meaning to it. How can we balance that? That person is just genuine, pure love. Let me use the word pure, because all love should be pure, pure love, to the point that their parents, I'm saying this because I also noticed there was a particular parent that called me, said she's concerned. I said, what happened? Said it's as if her daughter is lesbian. What make you think that way? Said the way she hugs her friend, the way she's so close to her friend and all. These are children that they don't understand the mixed love that we do, the mixed one. They are just pure. They just live their life the way they are, and people read meaning, and it happens to adults too. How can we balance? Deji, please be ready. You're also going to respond to that question. How can people balance seeing other people showing love because you don't have it, and some other people are just, Deji, here is my lover. Deji, here is my lover, right? And Kenny knows. Kenny does not have anything to. Kenny does not have option, right? Yeah. So that kind of a thing. How can we make people understand it? What kind of definition are we going to give to that?
Well, I mean, I would answer based on what I think you're trying to say. To an insecure person, It is, you can't, I mean, if someone is insecure, someone is insecure, right? And insecurity comes from all kinds of things, and a lot of it is pain from the past. Somebody has done something to me, I will not allow it to ever happen to me again. And I'm going to look out for things here and there. One thing I have learned in my journey is that whatever you create will become. And most of the times we create our realities. And I'd say most of the times, most of the time means 100%, right? If you've heard people say, oh, I just sensed something that he was going to do something or she was going to do something and they did it. I laugh. I say, because you created it and it had to happen, right? Now you could have created something differently at that same time, but you didn't. And so when people say, oh, I just felt like I'll go and catch him or catch her. Anything you look for, you will find. Now, unfortunately, you never ask your question, when I find it, what would I do with it? We never go as far as thinking in that space. So you look, you find, then you now start to ask questions, but why, how could it? For me, I know that people say ignorance is bliss. I also believe that what you don't know to a large extent will not hurt you. However, you can create the reality that you want. I go into that space, right? I can't explain love to somebody who doesn't understand it unless they experience it, unfortunately. Because the people who have never experienced it are going to argue from today till tomorrow. No, is this, is that. And because we like to stay on the path of right and wrong, I want to stay in the space of necessary and unnecessary. Sometimes the things that you actually think is wrong for this person is actually the only thing keeping that person alive. And because as a hypnotherapist, I've seen certain things happen where there's a part that there's a tool that we use. We want to find out why the benefit of that thing in your life. So people say cocaine is bad, but that's the only thing that is actually keeping that person sane at the time. But everybody see, they don't, it doesn't matter that in the long run, it cannot affect them. Right now, this is the only thing that is giving me peace. And this is the only thing that doesn't judge me, doesn't criticize me, respects me, you know, all loves me, because first of all, it can't even talk back at me. So you want to sit down and ask yourself to a large extent, how, you know, why does this relationship bother me? And if you have good communication with your spouse, it's something that you can share with them. You know, I want to respect you. And it's not a confrontation. A lot of times we believe confrontations is what, once you confront somebody, you have lost the person completely. At least you have lost me. Once you come to me with a confrontation, or you did this without asking, you've lost me. And so rather than confront, I would rather carefront. Confrontation separates, carefrontation binds. And I learned it. And so it starts with what I love about you is. So you celebrate the person, you tell the person the one or two things you like about the person. And then you remember that every meaning, everything, nothing means anything except the meaning you give to it. It doesn't mean that it's the reality. Yesterday, I was giving some of my cousins an example. You see a message, I miss you, immediately your mind starts to create. You become script writer, screenwriter, producer, director, lighting gaffer. You become the audio technician. You are the editor. You will sit down and edit it. You color correct it. You do the final mix yourself. Then you take it to market. You are the one that markets the same story. You then sit down in the cinema by yourself, watching the film that you created, and you're crying at yourself. Only you. You don't know what is true, but you have created. So, and then you will go and tell other people that, can you imagine what she did? Can you imagine what he did? You're running on a tangent that is completely wrong and completely false until it now becomes it. Because whether you like it or not, whether Muslim or Christian or Buddhist, you're a creator, just like your father who created you. What are you creating is the question. And I'm going to use my own personal relationship as an example. In the beginning of my marriage as well, all my expectations, I felt, no, it has to be this, it must be that. I started to feel all kinds of things. It kept happening. And I was a chief complainer. All you needed to do was ask me, Adiola, how are you? Leave the remaining to me. I will tell you how this happened, that happened, and I'm a stepmother on top of it all. So you can imagine that dynamism in my relationship as well. And so I realized that the more I complained, the more it happened. Now, yes, am I saying that you shouldn't speak to somebody? You should if you need help, but not complain about the situation. I know miserableness also likes companionship. However, the more you only see the negative, the more it's only gonna happen. And I don't personally think anybody is so bad that there's not one good thing that they do. I don't believe so. But you focus only on the negative things and you never see the good that people do. So a confrontation, for example, will start with the things that they do so well. And then you say to them, when you do this, I make it mean this. So it's not an attack on you in any way. And then I ask for support. Whilst I'm still working on the meaning that I've given to this thing, can I get your support in something? And you tell them, instead of coming back at 3 a.m., can I get your support in coming back at 1 a.m. or 12 midnight, depending on what you guys are discussing? And then you keep quiet and allow them say yes, no, maybe. What can I take? How can I move a maybe to a yes? Should probably be the next question. And they may say it will never be a yes, it will only be a maybe. That's good enough. But it could also be a no. How do you then support yourself in that situation whilst you are working on the meaning? And I'll give you another scriptural example. Whenever I used to hear this sentence, a woman is meant to subject to her husband, I used to hear servant. This is a practical, my own example. I used to hear servant. And so whenever my husband would say that thing to me, so one day I had to sit him down to say, you know, this thing, when you say this thing, you lose me, and I'll tell you why. Because when you say this, I make it mean servant. And I have not worked this hard to be called a servant by anybody. So as I'm working on changing the meaning of it to servant, please help me so that you use this sentence less and less with me. And he graciously obliged. I can't even remember when last he used that sentence with me. But I had to know it. And it goes back to what Deji says. You don't even know what you want. So even if it was slapping you in the face, you wouldn't know. What does love mean? Someone says, I want a kind man. What does that mean? What does kind man mean? So when relationships, you meet some, and then of course you're now jealous. Going back to what you said, you're jealous that your friend, your partner is having a decent relationship with someone else that you cannot be a part of. Why not ask them, teach me how to love like you? What is wrong with asking that question? I envy your relationship. I would really love to have this relationship that you have. Can you teach me? Rather than spoiling it or wanting to break it just to make you happy. And at the end of the day, the question is, are you really happy? You're not. And yes, I understand pain. Oh, they've hurt me before. So what? Did you learn from that pain? Did you grow from that pain? What did that pain do in your life? Did it make you stronger? If you had to choose between you and your child going through that pain, who would you choose? Most likely you would say you. So that means you went through it to be able to teach someone else how not to go through it. A friend of mine one day, he said to me, he said, you're a love being. And I'd only known him for maybe like 2 weeks. I said, why do you say so? Because I've never seen anybody love the way you love with no inhibitions. You're not worried about. I said, I don't worry about what people will do because that's not on me. That's on them. I only worry about what I will do. And I promise you, I will love you regardless of what happens. So my friends call me distributor of love, wholesaler, importer, exporter, all kinds of names because of the way I love. If I choose to have lunch with you, where are you? Let's go and have lunch. Where you? Let's go and have. And there's freedom, and we have so much fun. Hence, creating the village around you. So if your husband is having a friendship that you are jealous of with someone, why not recreate something too? One day I went for a party, Ebu, and I'll end here. And it was a big party. And my husband, I sat down there and I don't even know what made me open my heart to that party in the sense what I learned from it. Now, I saw the men all standing up, getting up from their tables, going to hug themselves, pat themselves, play with themselves. I saw the women sitting down, waiting for people to come and meet them. I'm a boy's girl. Deji knows me very well. I'm a boy's girl. So so the boys sort of see me as a boy. So they were coming to my table, I'll stand up, hug them. I remember my friend who was sitting by my side said, what's even wrong with you? It's only you that knows people here. People were wondering why I was getting up to go and, and these are boys I hadn't seen in a while. And I call men boys because I think that they're all young for me, just as a joke, right? So, and I saw the women sitting down. And then at night, the boys were like, we're going out, or, let's go. The women would say, we want to sleep. Can you not stay with us? I'm like, why should I stay with you? What makes your own more important than them? And I say all of that to say this. You're only jealous of things that you do not have, that you also choose not to create for yourself. The reason why a lot of women are miserable is because they don't have a life. They don't have a life. If you ask them in order of importance, your children, your husband, yourself, you will hear them say, my husband or my children, they're always last. So they're consistently giving from an empty cup. There's no way you will not be resentful or angry or hurt because the other person is living his life. You're not, and nobody asked you not to. That day I said to my husband, I know why women are so miserable. Because the boys were cool. The boys were cool. So you have chosen not to learn how to do it. That's not on anybody else. It's on you.
Yeah.
So having a great relationship, once again, is on you. It's not on the other person. Because at least if you get you right, the other person will align with your rightness. But if you're waiting for the other person to change before you decide to love or give or be kind, then you're going to be there. You will turn all the colors of the rainbow. And so I end my conversation.
Thank you so much, Adiola. Our time is fast spent. Amara Aloze, I see your hands up. Do you still want to say something, or you drop it in the chat box? Thank you, Mommy Love. I appreciate you today. Thank you for all the nuggets you've been dropping in the chat. And I really appreciate it. Is Amara here? Amara, you want to say something? Can I just give you like 1 minute or 60 seconds to say that? So I am going to say that. Did you still come up to give us your last words? And Adiola, I just want to say that that there's this theory and model I am studying, and that is the attachment model, attachment theories, that saying that everything that we have become is as a result of how we were raised, and there's a need for us to reparent ourselves. There's a need for us to to unlearn a lot of things. And that is where the peace that we desire will come from. To say that, so somebody is saying that my husband should be my best friend. You can't give everything your husband needs, and he cannot give you everything. Just like Adiola just explained to us, you see. And these are the expectations that we run our life with, and we use, and we tend to hurt ourselves. We tend to hurt ourselves from that, and it is not our fault. It is what has been interpreted. I don't know if you were listening to what I said when I was talking about even people having spiritual PTSD, because we have been living our life based on what our pastors had put inside us. And by the time we grow up and we start seeing things differently, we'll be like, but this is not what I was taught. My younger brother, I remember when we're growing up, will say that by the time we get to heaven, some pastors, their church member will stone them because of some of those things that they have made them believe. And we see that life is evolving. Deji explained that vividly. Life is evolving. You are not the only one. You're not the only tribe on the planet Earth. And by the time you go to Ghana, where the woman is the owner of the children, you will know that your way is not always the way. Your map is not the territory. And nothing means anything except the meaning you read to it. And so we need to pay attention to all this. Okay, is that Amara?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so let me just complete my statement, then I'll yield the mic to you to say that nothing means anything except the meaning you give to it. And that's why that illustration Adiola gave about, you just saw I miss you on your husband or your wife's phone, and you have created the picture, the narrative, and you make yourself believe that narrative, and you start acting and reacting in that direction. And we are saying, can you always just take time to pause and communicate, ask the right questions, right? Okay, Amara, let's have you for 60 seconds, please.
Okay. Good morning. I'm actually rebranding myself lately since last year, okay, on this love thing and all that. So I asked a question. I said, so why does the word, the quotes of love is reciprocal comes in coming into relationship? Because yes, you don't have to wait for one to love you before you love yourself, but should it just be one person loving and doing all the commitments?
Did you want to respond to that question, please, briefly? Thank you, so that we don't waste people's time. Yeah, thank you.
I used to repeat that last statement. A call came in. I didn't hear you very well.
Okay, so she said love is reciprocal. How do you explain that? Is it one person, a situation where it's only one person that is loving, like showing the love, and they say love is reciprocal?
Reciprocal. Okay. I don't know whether I can explain that part of it from a singleness point. Now, it's how do I say? Let me give a small illustration. A child who always took biros from school, and the mom never said a word. You will see a new biro, you will see a new pencil, you will see a new ruler, you will see a whole book, and you don't say anything. Then one day, the boy steals, let's say, his teacher's watch. He put it on the desk to dry, and the boy brought it home. But someone saw that the person reported the boy as having stolen the teacher's watch. Then it became a big thing. Then the parents were invited to school. Then the parents are embarrassed. Then they scold that boy in front of everybody. But for some reason, the boy had a hard demeanor. He was not sorry. He was just angry. And someone asked him, why are you angry? And it was like, no, he thinks the parents have a part in this blame. That he had always brought things back home. and they never said anything. So why is this one different? Now, taking it back into singleness, we have to have put out the real us at the beginning of every relationship. And we have to be very observant. Because if we get to the middle of the way, or if we get into marriage, then discover this, it can be a problem in that, try as you might, that person might not change. There is therapy, there is coaching, and that person even has to admit to themselves that they are not able to give love, or they're not able to try, or they're not able to give their best in a relationship. But the thing is that at times, they are foundational. What I wanted to give as something for the singles, because I'm sure singles are on here, is that before any relationship starts, there are parameters. Now you will say it is kind of hypocritical to say I want premarital sex, but there is probably a reason for it. Nobody really does, I guess. I didn't, but there's a reason for it. Now, dating, the description of dating is to be with somebody socially and to find out if you can be compatible as mates, as if you are available for a committed relationship, which is courtship. Then in courtship, to find out if they can be somebody that they can get married to see if their bad sides are manageable and if their good sides are excellent. That's what it is for. Now, we give too much away in the dating stage, which is usually supposed to be platonic, blundering, or playful. But when we've given all that away at the beginning, it's kind of a problem because we are now in too deep. We've given a lot, and we don't want to be seen as useless or seen as, look at how this one was used up. So we manage, we close our eyes, we manage it, we assume they will change. But what if that's the way they are? What I say is that if you find a man who wants to be married to two women, please make sure you are a woman that does not mind being married with another wife. It's important so that you can both have your heaven, your bliss. It's very, very important. I say this too, I've heard so many things. Tall, handsome, rich, 28, God-fearing, wants children. I'm like, that is the package that you want. What is it that you need? Don't you need acceptance, respect, love, support? Don't you need understanding? If you need that, then you can find that in a regular guy that can be groomed to look good. You can see his potential, you can make money together, you can plan a family together. If you insist on that you want a superior person, you want to marry up, somebody who has all those attributes is normally usually an arrogant person, or somebody with pride. And apart from that, if you insist on marrying up or dating up, you can't accept anything below on your level or below your level. Isn't that, in fact, asking that person you chose to be your partner to marry down or to date down? What you cannot accept, why are you able to give it out? Why are you able to dish it? So at times, it's the history of our relationship that we've not examined properly. But coaching can help. Going back to the question that we were dealing with, I heard that Mother will ask. My wife and I are as opposites as can be, but we get along. Now, I could be termed an introvert, though I can be social when I need to be. My wife is totally an extrovert. She can go to parties for days. She's social. She's on this committee, on that committee, Queen's School. She's the head of this, she's the head of that. She's the head of our business. She does so much. Now, you ask, she has the family meetings on Fridays, they watch movies for 2 hours. You know, someone now asks, why she's doing all those things? What are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm not just sitting down. I'm with the kids when she's not able to be with the kids because we share and support each other that way. I am at work. I'm doing my designs. I'm chatting with a friend. I'm on my football group. I'm doing things as well. That is the reason why we are not looking for each other all over the space. We have a support system of love. We have a love network across friends, across family, across associates, across colleagues, across our hobbies, across our alumni. We have a lot of things we are doing. There is no time for anyone to be checking, oh, so what were you doing at this time? So what were you doing at that time? So if you happen to feel that way about your spouse, they have no time for you, take it to them. I feel lonely, or I need to, or I do this, or I do that. Attacking them is not going to work. Then you have to look inwards as well. Are you balanced in love? Is everything spread adequately? Are you receiving love from the right sources in adequate percentages? Or are you putting everything that is not possible on one person, which is definitely not possible? What are you doing? It's very, very important to find that out. Because if you don't find that out, you might find yourself looking through what you shouldn't be looking through. That takes me to privacy. Now, people seem to be mixing up privacy and secrecy. They are different. When there's secrecy, on the off, there's probably something wrong. But privacy is just out of free will. It's out of freedom. Now, they should be able to put their phone, free will, privacy. One lady asked one day that, oh, I check my husband's phone every night and read all his chats. At times, I just type in love or meet me somewhere to see where those come up, to see whether I can catch him. And I'm like, ma'am, it means that when he has gone to sleep, when she said around 11 o'clock, you are on his phone till about 12 o'clock. At times, she's had to drug him to use his fingerprint or use his retina when she couldn't guess the password. Now, I said, what did you find? She found what she was looking for.
Oh,
Then she said,
absolutely.
at times, it was just at the beginning, I was able to cut it off, I was able to do that. Then I asked her, I said, ma'am, in your heart, please tell me the truth. Have you ever walked by and see a man that you fancy, that you are just physically attracted to? And that was it. And she said, yes. I said, how many times have you daydreamed about probably being together with them intimately? And she said a few times, but then she banished it from her heart. I said, yes. Before you banished it from your heart, it still happened. If you want to go religious, I would say sin is first committed in the mind than in deed. So if you want to say that, do you judge yourself? I said the phone, that phone that you went to look through, is an extension of their mind. So what you are doing is you are having double standards, judging them for what you are also doing. That it happened in your mind and it happened on his phone means nothing. It means that it is just the same thing that you are both going through. But because he didn't catch you, because you didn't register it on the phone, you are using that as a weapon to beat him up. Why are you dishing out what you cannot take? There is no mind reader, so you can't both see what each other is thinking. But going into his phone is more or less going to read into his mind. And anything you find missing, you like a relationship you have with somebody else, check yourself. You also probably have it with somebody else, which makes you possessive. You have colleagues that send you, I miss you. But you see, I miss you on your husband's phone, and you start a fight. Why can't it be from his colleague too? Why can't it be from a friend? Why can't it be from his sister? Why can't it be from his mother? When you are going about doing all these things, it's not healthy, because that means that you are now possessed by the idea of owning somebody. Owning is control. Control only leads to maltreatment. That's the only thing. It's only pain that you can get from it. There's nothing else you can get from it. So a lot of things are so wrong that we do. All I can say is, see, everyone, relationships, we are all trying to find our way. We've been studying knowledge stored over hundreds of years, trying to add us to it. ours to it and document so that those coming behind us can also add theirs to it. Look at what we have and, at the same time, find the best that we can put together to put out a particular manner. But love is between any two people. Love at the end of the day is according to what two people say it's going to be. So let me focus on that. Leave all the rules alone. Focus on accepting the other person, on understanding them, on respecting them, and on loving them. Leave all what has been said. Just try to be true to them. Try to please them. Know what they want. Try to do it for them. And encourage them to do the same for you. You can inspire each other to be the best you can be for both of you. But know that love is in many parts. And you are supposed to tap from all those sources, not just one source. So when one source is not firing, the others can support it. For all those who talk about submission, submission is mutual. Any man that respects and understands his woman and accepts his woman the way he is, the woman would always respect him back. Respect is always earned. I don't want to know whatever you have to say about respect. It's always earned. It's not discussed. It's not demanded. Anytime any husband has to quote, wives, submit yourselves to your husband, you know what is going on. When I start and say, I'm the man in this house, of course I'm not. Or I wouldn't have had to say that. If I have to quote the Bible and say, and stop at, man, submit yourself to and woman, submit yourself to your husband, I'm looking for something. I'm now using a weapon in the Bible to reinforce what I'm looking for, which is just a one-way thing. Jesus Christ came and Jesus Christ served us. He did not lord over us. He served us. That is what the husband should look at. Ephesians 5 is not just one sentence, it's a whole verse. And it's a verse from what was happening back then. Today, assessment. What's happening in my house? Let's talk about it.
And it's the same thing, Deji, with women. Men are not, I don't believe that a man should die just to provide for me. All the women that the first thing they're looking for is a rich man, a billionaire. One day I said to my husband, if you die because of me, I'll remarry quickly. So please, don't die because of me. They didn't give birth to you because of me. If we cannot afford where we're living, let's go for a smaller place. So women should also put their mouth where their money is. You say the man should be the one to do everything, but you then want to be an empowered woman. How is that possible? So if something is costing 2 million naira, let's split it if you can do it. Because at the end of the day, we're both benefiting from it. And take the pressure off the man. Let him stop feeling like if he doesn't provide, then they go back to that scripture, he's worse than an infidel, even if that scripture is completely taken out of point. And so men now feel like if they don't give, if they don't provide, then they're useless. Men, please stop feeling that way. Please. Your ego or your existence is not tied to what you're able to provide. We also can join you in providing. Let's provide together. Okay. So it's not just women and men. Men don't have, women too also put too much pressure on these men. Every young girl now is looking for a self-made man. The self-made man that you're looking at, someone else helped to make him. Someone else supported him. So why are we all looking for rich and famous men? Why? So I think it's so skewed. It's so skewed, and I stopped myself from cursing, but it's so skewed. So this whole relationship thing is so upside down that nobody's thinking straight anymore. You know, women should do their part, follow their lane, and do it so beautifully. Men should do their part, follow their lane, and let us intertwine when we can. If I need support, I have to tell you I need support. And the support doesn't have to be given to me the way I say it must be given to me, as long as support is given. Doesn't matter how it's done. Let's stop being attached to all these things and it must be this way or else it's not working. Let's because at the end of the day, that's what we're teaching our children. We're teaching our children the same rubbish that we're doing. Some of us even have no business being parents at all. But that's the story for another day. right? So let's find a way to live together and make whatever we say should work. End of story.
Let's find solutions for ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Been an amazing one. Oh, we have Jide Azan's hand up. Jide, how short? Is it a question or a contribution or something?
Thank you so much. It's a question I want to throw to. Thank you so much for putting this particular session together. I've been blessed richly. Thank you so much, everyone. So sometime last month, I met a lady, we're talking, and she told me something that was really, really disturbing. She said, in our church, she has an elderly woman that is so particular about her, that the woman loves her. As a matter of fact, the woman prays for her every single day. That she wants her to really enjoy marriage. And in the process, she advised her something, that when the lady is ready to get married, that she's going to take her, she knows a place, or she knows someone, that she's going to take her somewhere. And when they get there, now the normal process is they will bring out 2 candles that signifies that this is the lady and this is the guy. Okay? That they will burn the 2 candles together. In turn, a ring will come out of the candle and she will wear it. What that means is that she has actually locked the man for life. And that way the man would not cheat. The man would not look at anybody. And, she was finding it very disturbing to accept. So I know if I throw this question out here, probably you give insight as to what this is about. She knows in the conclave of her spirit that this is not right. But at the end, as a woman, you want security and you want your husband to be this, to be that, to be, just look at you, don't look at anybody. Please, what would you say in this case, please?
Adiola, do you want to respond to that?
Go first before I go.
Okay. That
Deji,
one is spiritual.
Did you go first? God bless you.
My brother, the fact that you spoke in the very grave tone in which you just spoke shows that you know the answer to your question. I think you just want to bring it forward for us to think about it together, because this is also part of what we need to be wary of in the world and what is going on. The fact that she had to discuss it with you was also because she knew that wasn't the right way to go, even if she didn't mind. The fact that she's thinking at all about owning a person physically and spiritually is a big problem. And it can't also be our fault entirely, 100%, because we are all products of our environment. The woman that is in this modern church, but that is still going to that other one on the side, if it's on the side, it is obviously not right, or else that's where she will belong to 100%. She will only be present in this church in which they have met in the first place. There are so many things that I do not agree with that I'm not going to go into because of time, but you already know what it is. These things do not work. They do not. Anything you take by force, anything that is, if you force anything, it always births resistance. It might not be direct resistance, but you really think that the observers, his parents, his friends, God, the environment, the universe, will just allow that to happen, and that will happen to the end of time. Because we don't know the outcomes of this eventually, it does not mean that they are supposed to happen. That she told you and that you're not the man that she's choosing means that you're a good friend. And if you're a good friend, please do not condemn her or condemn that woman. Rather, try and tell them the consequences of what all these kind of actions can lead to. There's no need to be scared about anything, because this goes on more often than we care to admit, because it's what people believe, it's their belief system. But you really don't want to just say, hey, come here, and they come. Go there, and they go. They don't have their mind. They can't discuss with you. You can't take your family forward. It's only your own. It is so limiting to think your way of life and what you think alone is enough to even get you through life. And as it is, there's always consequences. All those movies we watch, Hollywood movies, they are not jokes. Because there'll be something funny like the consequence of making that ring or something will probably be him not being able to produce a child or not having to be able to use a penis in his life again. There's always something. It's always awkward. There's a reason why they say the devil has no salvation, just power. But let's even leave superstition and belief. Let's leave that out of it. It is not going to work, and you know it, my brother. Please let her know it, but in the way that you would like to be told. Because if she's able to entertain this view, not throw it off immediately, not unfriend that woman and tell you, then she's really considering it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deji. Kudirat says, I am sure Mommy Church isn't enjoying a marriage. Please ask her, how is Mommy Church's wedding marriage like? Does she want Mommy Church results? Because all those things, it is well.
Mommy Church can only give what Mommy Church has.
Yeah, it's been an amazing one today. Thank you so much. We had about 70 something people on the call. Now we are 56. It's Saturday. People want to go to the market. People want to go for Owambe. And I understand that for those of us that were able to wait till this time, thank you. Thank you so much. And I believe some questions have been answered. I believe some seed have been sown, and you think about them again. We said freedom in the relationship is love. Show up and enjoy the moment with love and peace. Make every moment shareable. Enjoy it. Don't look for what is missing. Don't compare what you have yesterday to what you have today. You are not the same person that was yesterday. You are different today. Enjoy every moment. When you don't expect too much, you enjoy yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. You can't give what you don't have. Thank you very much, Adiola. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Mosumola is raising her hands. We are like 17 minutes past our closing time. Please, Mosumola, I don't know, can it wait till next week? Is it something you want the audience to learn from? Is it a question? Can you drop in the chat box, please, so that we can have an idea. I don't want to take people for granted. Thank you so much, Deji. That was an amazing one with you. Thank you, Adela, again. Thank you, everyone. Remember, there's no family meeting.